If I stay still, you may not be able to tell that my coffee table, is an absolute wreck right now. But we're gonna all, if it does end up coming into frame, we're gonna all collectively ignore it. Right? Awesome. Another thing we're going to ignore is that I'm probably orange right now. I was supposed to be filming this at like daylight hours and I'm filming this at 10 o'clock. What else is new? But I'm also going to reframe that. It gives me a sun-kissed warm glow. Love is in the air. For Love is Blind. Today, hello, by the way, Kendall. If you're new around here, welcome. Not new around here, what is up, home scale biscuit? And if you are new around here, you don't know that I watch a lot of Love is Blind, particularly the ones in the US and also the spin-off, which is The Ultimatum. I've done the ones in the US and one season of South Africa in that regard. And I also have a running playlist of related Love is Blind / The Ultimatum things. And today is actually the first time we're going to be doing the first foreign Love is Blind season, because a lot of people were saying, Kendall, it's really insane. Please watch it. And I was considering peeking at it, but honestly, nothing really made me want to watch it until I saw, as usual, a clip floating around on Twitter and I said, fine. So today I'm going to be talking about the first 5 episodes and undoubtedly going to do a lot of poorly done British accents or something that sounds vaguely in that general vicinity. Not quite British, not quite Scottish or Irish or Wales. Like no real actual accent. I just speak like this sometimes as if I actually know what I'm talking about. But honestly, if somebody heard me, they'd probably undoubtedly know that I am not from anywhere in that general vicinity. I am from Detroit. Detroit, if you're feeling nasty. Anyway, so today I'm going to be talking about the first 5 episodes of Love is Blind UK because that's all I watched. I do plan on doing the rest of the episodes, but as of filming today, not all of the episodes are live, but there are more live than up to episode 5. So with that said, I can only talk about what happens in those 5 episodes because I don't know what happened in the other episodes. All opinions about cast members or storylines or whatever are subject to change because there's always someone I like and then they undoubtedly disappoint me. So I hesitate to say who I'm rooting for here, but we shall see. Hello everyone, this is Real Kennie, and today's video is sponsored by HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit delivery service that offers you fresh, delicious, and healthy meals delivered straight to the comfort of your own home. Pre-portioned, pre-planned out meals with easy-to-follow recipe cards that allows you to get a delicious and healthy meal on the table in about 30 minutes, often less than that. I've been using HelloFresh for a while. I think it's really the reason why I am quite the cook these days. Back when I didn't know how to cook at all, HelloFresh was very, very helpful, and now I'm a kind of a chefanista. If I'm ever in recipe ruts or I want to try new flavors, HelloFresh is always coming up with cool, innovative, and delicious new recipes all the time. They also have delicious add-ons like their breakfast. They have these egg bites, spinach feta egg bites. Their bagels are actually fire too. I had an everything bagel from that. They also have desserts, pre-cooked proteins, or just extra proteins. It really takes the stress out of cooking, makes it more fun, interactive, game-like thing to do by following the recipe card. So if you're a beginner or just want to try something new, I highly recommend you check them out using the link down below. You can get free breakfast for life if you go to HelloFresh.com and use the code FREEKENNY. That's 1 free breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com and use code FREEKENNY. Big thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on to the battery. Okay, so for those of you that are unfamiliar, the 3 of you that are unfamiliar with the actual premise of Love is Blind is, quick rundown, it is a show where people go into pods, date people, like a speed dating thing, and they don't see each other, okay? They don't see each other, and they're encouraged to avoid anything that would be very indicative of what they look like, height, weight. Some people elect to keep race a bit ambiguous, but personally, I don't think that's a good idea. And instead focus on the connection of the inside, the part that really matters. And it's a terrible idea in my opinion, but it seems to have worked for a lot of people because at the end of the 10 days you do these intensive speed dating dates, sight unseen, people get engaged to be married. And again, the first season, I've always said that the first season I thought that was fake, there's no way, but apparently yes, these niggas get betrothed for life. And then at the end of the season, everybody goes to a full-on wedding. They bring their friends, their family, they bring their God, they bring everybody, and they decide very dramatically whether or not they say I do or I don't. And it's very, very messy, as you can imagine. I highly doubt there's a lot of people that don't know what this show is at all. But again, if that is the case, feel free to look at my other videos that are in that playlist. You are welcome. So let's talk about notable cast and first impressions, okay? If you guys are unfamiliar, there's usually a lot of people on the women's side and men's side, but they don't all end up getting much screen time. But I'm just going to talk about the people that matter in the grand scheme of the conversation. So I will say, before we get into specifics, I really appreciate that this Love is Blind is like noticeably culturally diverse, at least on the women's side. On the men's side, it's just like white and black. I saw one Asian dude. One guy, I don't know what he is. He might be some type of Latin, Hispanic, I don't know, but he fine. Maybe Middle Eastern, I don't know. But for the most part, most of the cultural diversity is very like concentrated on the women's side, and as well as like body types, they could have definitely got a little bit more expansive, because there's no one that I would say is outright plus size. There's some people that have a little bit more, you know, cushion. There's some people that are quite thin, but I don't see anybody that's very like significantly, noticeably, identifiably a fat person. And that's not just on the women's side, which, you know, a lot of like expectation of like what a beautiful woman is supposed to look like, but that's particularly on the men's side. I will go into this a bit more later, but every dude that ends up at the end of this show that again has nothing to do with looks is not just, you know, fit, look like they work out. They are jacked. They are absolutely steroid beans on toast. I don't know what the where they found these people, but it's like disconcerting. I think I would like to say, generally speaking, I am finding it generally hard to put a real feel for certain people, at least at this first 5 episodes. I don't know if it's just like the British sense of humor or like way of talking, but I struggle to have any strong feeling about any person outside of they seem nice. And there's 2 people in particular that come off very insecure, but outside of that, like the vast majority of cast members, I don't really have any particular thoughts about. I just say, oh, they seem cool, and that's it. So for better or worse, that's maybe not as like climactic as you would want for a dramatic reality television show, but that's how we're feeling. Okay. Also, why does it look like I'm staring into the sun? Sure. Okay, so for the women, Natasha, 32. I feel like I'm doing a lot of disclaimers, but I feel like I have to. I don't have much note on any of these people. Natasha, blonde and thin. She used to be heavier. She talks about that briefly, but they don't really show her much on screen. Catherine, works out a lot and ugly cries. It might be a little early to tell, but she does give maybe a little bit of a messy vibe. It's hard to tell what is her being messy and what is cast trying to make something happen out of nothing, or producers trying to make something out of nothing because they don't have anything for like juicy drama that makes people want to watch the show, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't really get a bad vibe from her per se, but I'm keeping an eye out for her, what I'll say. Demi, I don't dislike Demi, but she does give me very insecure, and like, again, I'm only 5 episodes in, but she strikes me as someone who will let her insecurities get in the way of her happiness. She kind of talks about how she has a lot of insecurities around her body. She talks about having endometriosis during one of the pods. She's very like, that's something that's very emotional for her. And one of the things about that is that she can gain and lose weight pretty quickly. So she does have like noticeably a lot of anxieties and insecurities around her body, which is completely normal and natural, but it does seem as though her insecurity have bled into her dating life. She kind of sees herself as not desirable and then projects that onto the person that she ends up with. So obviously you're desirable to somebody. She also talks a lot about how growing up she was like one of the guys, so you know she doesn't seem comfortable being a sexual and like attractive in a traditional sense woman. And you know there's some elements of that I get and I identify with. I also recognize, at least in my experience, they didn't serve me in any way, so I can kind of see some issues coming already, but we'll see where it goes. But I could see her definitely getting in her own way. I'll just keep that there. Sabrina, she's fine. I put down here that she looks like Susie Glass from The Gentleman. If you don't watch The Gentleman, it's such a good show. Oh my God, watch The Gentleman. It's so great. But yeah, other than that, she's very pale with black hair and bangs. Nicole, pretty black girl. She seems nice. I do note that a lot of the women in the women's quarters seem to really like her and feel protective of her, so that's a good sign. But yeah, she seems nice. A bit, I don't want to say naive, because I don't know if naive is the right word, but she does seem to be like kind of spiritual and like floating type of energy. She was married once before, which is notable, and you know, doesn't want to be hurt again and the like. But as far as like her as a personality, they don't really show her a whole lot. So I'm still waiting to learn more about her. Maria is literally so pretty. She is literally gorgeous, and she'll be on the screen and I'm like, skin, body, doing it. She kind of looks like a Moroccan Melanie Fiona. Is Melanie Fiona Moroccan? And it kills me to know how much I really love you. Sometimes I wanna. Anyway, she's the first Muslim woman that I'm aware of that has been on the show, which is cool. So again, they've like kept the diversity a lot better in the UK version, at least on the women's side, than the US one. Jasmine, she seems nice, if not protective to the extent that it gets kind of to meddling, in my opinion. Like, maybe you should mind your own damn business a little bit. I know that she seems to have like a good heart. She seems to have great intentions, but she does strike me as a person that in an effort to be protective ends up just going beyond what you were required or asked to do. Again, still early. That's how I feel about her. Okay, the men. Freddie, the funeral director. He is buff as shit. I don't know why. Again, buff as hell. He works as a funeral director. I don't know why. Like, how much work is it to work at Body Bag Depot? I don't know why he has to be so ripped for this. I mean, personality wise, he seems quite nice. He kind of talks about how he's had trouble in his dating life because he works as a funeral home director, because I guess the reminder of death kind of turns people off, which is confusing to me because there's so many like professions that require someone to be in contact with death where people don't have the same kind of aversions to it. That's what I think of first when I think of someone in the medical field. Like, you're seeing people die or dying regularly, but no one thinks of it as like a, I found it interesting. First responders, firefighters, and these people see people, detective, I guess, or something, they're seeing death on the regular basis. Whereas he kind of talks about it as if, my job is to take care of someone's loved one in their last, moments, which is, I don't understand why that's a big deal, but okay. But it seems to have been a bit of a deterrent in his dating life. As far as him as a person, he seems really nice. So far, I do really like him. Just seems to be pretty pure hearted. Again, it's still early. I haven't seen the new episodes. Please shut the up and don't ruin things. That's another thing. Don't spoil it in the comments, man. By the time you see this, I theoretically would have already seen the episodes, but just in case I haven't, don't say anything. But I like him so far. He has a very small head on a very large body. He looks like a transformer. Cool guy. Anyway, Ollie. I don't really have any opinions of Ollie so far. At best, a bit superficial, but that's something self-admitted, like something that he realized didn't serve him in the past, so that's why he's on a show like this. I guess one could extrapolate from that he's a bit of a playboy, but I will, I'll keep my eye out for him, but he seems fine. Steven. Another fit is like just ripped. Weird. Like, y'all are weirdly ripped. But he's like, cool, he owns a CrossFit gym. That makes sense. But everybody's like ripped as is this the body you get with beans on toast? I don't know. I think when people are so ripped, it's like not fun. It's like trying to hug up to gravel. It's like you, ow, like you scratch me. Like, what are you, like, I don't know if it's between this or eating a little sticky toffee pudding. I don't know. I would choose the pudding. I like sweets. Tom, he seems goofy and regular and white. He's nice. They don't really show him much at first, so I had no opinion, but by the time they end up choosing people, he's pretty cool. Again, pretty early to know exactly how I feel about him, but he seems goofy and I like him. Bobby, I like him too. Another shredded to shit guy though, but he seems really chill, super normal. Seems cool. Benaya looks like the dude from The Man with 1,000 Kids, but better. And he is in similar ways quite the hippie nomad guy. Not in the same way. That's not fair. I don't know that he's going around spreading his seed and ruining biodiversity, but he seems like a hippie, go with the wind. I don't cut my hair because I'm living in the trees type. Cool enough though, adventurous. I do get the sense that he's on the wrong show though. And whenever someone ends up having this vibe that they're on the wrong show, it makes me wonder why you came, which leads me to believe then, what's going on there? But maybe he was just giving it a shot and didn't think he would get this far. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. He does seem pretty genuine so far, so he seems fine. I do his name up a lot though. I've called him Benediah, Benadryl, Benjamin Kumquat, Sam. So I feel like every season has to have their like villain, right? Sam is that for me, at least as of the 5th episode. The dude sucks. I hate him. I dislike him heavily. He gives me very insecure in so many directions, and he walks with those insecurities first. He seems very disingenuous. A lot of like Arrested Development. I'm just a big kid, but not in like the I like to be free and fun loving type of way, but in the like I need someone to raise me and teach me how to be a person. He also gives a lot of like where's my hug, nice guys finish last ass energy. He also looks like Sheen from Jimmy Neutron, and I just dislike him in every way. Like he strikes me as a person who's more involved or more preoccupied with trying to appeal to a person instead of actually considering whether or not they would be a good match. He's just trying to win someone over, and he tends to be like, I noticed that he ends up really liking the women who give this kind of maternal energy, and it just gives like a guy who doesn't want to handle any of his issues by himself, like going to therapy and like working through that, so he makes it the problem of his girlfriend to fix him or heal him. Well, I guess in this context, his wife. You skip so many, oh my god, but that's the show. We do this. Why are we shocked? We do this every time. Okay, episode 1, you know the drill. We're in the pods. Notably, a few people start to make some connections pretty quickly. First that we see is Catherine and Freddie. They seem to be very similar lifestyle wise. They both work out a lot, but it seems like everybody work out like shit. Like, damn, they work out twice a day, and that's what they seem to have in common. Oh my god, these lashes are fighting me. There was a period where I used to work out twice a day when I was really on my shit. Like I would do cardio in the morning and then like weight training at night when I was incredibly anxious, so I had a bunch of nervous energy. But now life is good, so I just sit my ass down. I have no incentive to work out at all, other than, I don't know, maybe my back kind of hurts and like I'm about to turn 30 and it's like, I should probably work out. But anyway, they seem to have a lot in common, like lifestyle wise. But Catherine also begins to hit it off with Ollie. And it's pretty obvious that they have like a very like physical, flirty, not physical because they can't see each other, but like a flirty sexual energy. Also ends up kicking it off with Demi. And their relationship at this point is very like foundational, like theoretically what you would be looking for in a partner, less about just being sexually attracted to each other and more about like, who are you? Now this does cause a little bit of a kerfuffle because Demi and Catherine seem to get along quite well in the women's quarters. Notably, everyone seems to get along usually in these shows in their respective quarters. Sometimes there's some rivalry. There was one season that it gets really, really catty. But for the most part, the women and men end up building a bit of camaraderie, but that can cause some tension in the sense that y'all might like the same person. But that is the point of the show, and that's the risk you take when you come. So here we go. Nicole, the pretty black girl, starts getting along with Sam, and I hated it, but I did see it coming pretty quickly as I started to notice more about him and more about her. She gives very like nurturer energy, and so a person that kind of feels the way that Sam does, this kind of like really insecure, really, I'm just trying to be whatever the best thing that people say it is to be. I want to be desired and loved and cared for in a way that subjects myself to just the whims of other people as opposed to like having some type of personhood or personality or desires for oneself. He gives like shapeshifter type energy, like I'll be whatever this person specifically needs me to be. And she gives this kind of nurturing vibe that I feel that type of person latches on to often. She also ends up getting along with Benaya, long hair dude, who I don't really have any strong opinions about, which means that I like him better than Sam. Low bar, really. Okay, Sabrina and Steven are hitting it off as well, and they have dates a few times and they seem to really build a connection, but they end up having a bit of a hiccup because they get on the conversation of children. He seems to be very keen on children. He really wants them. He seems very enthusiastic about having children, whereas she is more like, I can take or leave them type thing. And this is a bit of a hiccup between the two of them because obviously the level of enthusiasm seems to be a bit different different between the two of them. But eventually they do end up coming back together, clarifying that my focus, her focus, is more on us building a relationship, a solid foundation first. And if we have kids, sure, I would not die without having kids. Also, I'm 35, so if we're focusing on ourselves, that means I'm not having a kid until my late 30s. I may not even be able to have kids naturally, you know what I mean? So if these are things to consider, I am open to like adoption and surrogacy. Now with that clarified, they seem to be on, fast track, baby. Back to Sam's annoying ass. He seems to also really like Jasmine, who, incidentally, is a mental health nurse. Again, going back to the type of people he seems to like, I think he likes that she therapizes him, which, girl, you went to school for that. You're not getting paid for this shit. But I do get the sense that she even recognizes it. She's like, something about you. Like, I like you, but there's something that just feels like you're telling me what you think I want to hear, which is valid because when he talks, he just gives this kind of air of like, I just watched a TikTok post of like the best pickup lines to bag a chick and get lucky tonight. Like he looks like he is or listens to a lot of like pickup artists and then bemoans the fact that he isn't picked enough in his idea. And apparently this critique of, I feel like you're telling me what I want to hear, is something that he's heard before, and it seems to not trigger him, but it does seem to make him go like, why do people keep saying that? And it's like, because you are telling people what they want to hear. That's why it comes off that way, because that's what you're doing. So obviously Jasmine likes him enough to continue talking to him, but she does also kick things off with Bobby, who seems just a lot more chill, a lot more genuine, very pretty boy. I like him. But of the people that I'm seeing so far, if I had to pick someone, I would pick either Bobby or Freddie. But she really likes Bobby and they're really hitting it off. So after that, she goes back into the lounge and she's kind of talking with the girls. Like, there's something about Sam that makes me go, nah, I don't know what it is, but nah. But notably, Sam seems to be really going for Jasmine. Like, sure, he's making a connection with Nicole and he's continuing his connection with Nicole, but he does seem to really prefer Jasmine. The rest of the episode is a lot of people sharing their traumas with each other. I'm trying to decide to what degree do I feel comfortable really going into it in a way that I feel like is actually necessary for my critiques. Just a lot of people's parents, particularly fathers, dropping the ball, disappearing, a lot of like sickness and death. And I'm laughing because it got heavy real quick. But, that's fair. That's what it's like to be married to somebody. You marry their entire past and their traumas and their life experiences. So, hey, that's just a part of this thing. Then we get the scene that everyone has been asking me, what people were sending me a lot of is when people wanted me to watch this, which is Catherine and Freddie talking about their grandparents and how each of them separately both have a grandmother named Mary and a grandfather named Bill. Catherine takes this as like they both do. Take this as like a sign or something. And she starts ugly crying. Oh, she got an ugly ass crying face. She goes, you can't believe it. And the thing that struck me and everybody on Twitter was like, that didn't cause y'all pause? That didn't make y'all go, are we related? But instead, no, they didn't even, apparently, at least on screen, it didn't cross their minds at all, like whether or not they might be just related, which is very, 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 very much so something that I would think first, as opposed to like, this is a sign. And I was like, okay, I assume they're not related. Also, she's adopted. So I don't know if she's referring to or knows her biological grandparents, but I assume she's talking about her adopted grandparents. I don't know. It's getting sticky there, but I don't think they're related, but I do call them the cousins henceforth because it's funny. So I will be referring to them as the cousins. You're welcome. But again, she's continuing this connection, doing her ugly crying with Freddie while having this lighter, more superficial, more flirty sexual energy with Ollie. And again, Ollie seems to be building like a more serious connection with Demi, but he is honest with both of them, saying like, I'm not going to lie to you. I am still exploring a connection with this other person. So I'm trying to be honest and forthright with that, which is fair. and something you should be considering when you're in this show, that, you know, you're all dating the same 15 people. Some people may be more or less who you're trying to get to know and building a connection with. I do understand how that doesn't feel great, especially, you know, Demi seems to have really hyper focused on him. She's like, you're who I'm focused on, whereas he's going back and forth between her and Catherine. So, but hey, it's the name of the game, baby. And the episode ends with a proposal. Is that not a bit early? I feel like they don't usually do it that early. The first episode, I feel like we at least go to like 2 or 3 before the first proposal. But okay, we go straight to the first proposal, which is Steven and Sabrina, and they say yes. Thumbs up. They seem cool, what we've seen. He looks so familiar to me, by the way. I don't know who he looks like, but he looks like a guy I've seen before. My heart is saying a wrestler, but I can't think of what wrestler he looks like. Watch, I'm gonna be sleeping, and in the middle of the night, I'm gonna be like, anyway, but they seem together and I'm like, yay, that's nice. Episode 2, Maria and Tom are hitting it off. Again, Maria is the really, really pretty Muslim girl. Again, more trauma about deadbeat dads. Tom, father was a runner. He's a track star. And she talks about how her trauma is her father passing away during COVID, and he was in lockdown in Morocco. Passed away without ever being able to see him in person. And that really sucks. Meanwhile, Tom is also talking with Natasha. We don't see her a whole lot, but I will say every time I see her, I feel a little bit concerned. She doesn't look well. Like, she looks sick. I hope she's okay, because she looks very anemic, honestly, but maybe I'm just like hyper vigilant. But I was like, is she okay? She seems a little not well, but they seem to build a connection though. So cool beans there. Back to Catherine and Ollie, and he ends up getting a bit cold on her because they get on the conversation of like clubs they frequent, and she names 2, and apparently he bases off of that, like the type of girl Catherine must be, because you know, I go to those clubs and I know I go to those clubs a lot. I know what kind of girls go to those clubs or whatever. Sorry. Which is dumb, but I guess combined with like this person, like what chemistry do I have with this person outside of like sexual chemistry, which is a question he's been asking himself a bit. Maybe he used that to extrapolate that this really is just a person that I would meet on like a night out, but this would go anywhere beyond that. Granted, I don't know how you're supposed to know that off of the club that she went to on her birthday, but okay, that's dumb as f. That's not to say that he's wrong in the sense that there doesn't seem to be anything between them more than just this like flirtatiousness, but using the club as or maybe that's just bad editing. That could also be it. I do find that this season has a lot of shitty editing in an effort to like contrive drama, but whatever. And it doesn't really matter because she's already having a deeper connection with Freddie anyway. So I kind of wish they would just both just drop it at this point. Sabrina and Steven meet for the first time and they seem to really like each other. Again, he looks like somebody that I cannot put my finger on, but she's really excited. She calls him tall, dark, and handsome. Just a infinite reminder that when white people say that they mean hair, they don't mean like skin, which is where my mind would go. They mean hair. So Jasmine is still trying to figure out how she feels about Sam, any like unease she seems to feel about him. And again, I get the vibe of like she's kind of therapizing him and nurturing him. My boyfriend called it gentle parenting him, essentially, which is true. It does seem like she's constantly like talking him down in a way that's not reciprocated. It's just him just looking for a mommy instead of a therapist. She does end up saying to him, it was a bit early, I just realized in episode 2 is where they have the conversation about her apprehension towards him, which is that he's trying to sell her on something. But the conversation is the same. This is the reoccurring issue she has with him, is like, I don't know how authentic you are because it feels like you're telling me what I want to hear, like he's trying to sell a car. He seems to like take in data and try to like extrapolate that and turn himself and mold himself into the things that women say that they want, instead of like having any natural or innate traits of his own that people want. And Jasmine can innately feel that energy and it's off-putting. Like it is. She keeps talking with Bobby and hitting off with Bobby. He tells a traumatic story about how his cousin, who was also kind of his father figure, drowned with his fiance. Like there was just a lot of people dying and a lot of trauma, and I was like, oh my god, these have lived. Oh, but this is obviously a much more genuine and foundational relationship she has with Bobby, so she ends up cutting things off with Sam, and all things considered, he takes it pretty well. That is until he goes back into the men's quarters and he literally says verbatim, mind you, "Welp, beggars can't be choosers, eh?" And so now he's like, okay, I guess now I'm picking Nicole. Ew. Gross. It just gives I just need to be with someone so I can get on the show and get some notoriety or clout or something off of this, or just people see and know me and talk about me. Sad, unfortunate. So Catherine and Ollie end up kind of breaking up with each other. Ollie goes in to break up with her and she's like, I'll make it easier on you. I think you should explore more with your other connection. And he's like, oh, great. So they both are like, it's less of like one breaking up with the other. They're kind of mutually like, dope. You obviously have more connection with Freddie, Catherine, and I have more connection with Demi. Let's call it quits amicably. It was very chill, very, very chill. I did note that not that this is necessarily incorrect, but it did rub me the wrong way a little bit. Because Catherine is like, I know that Demi likes him so much, so I just want to be the bigger person and get out of the way and like let her have him. Which, ew, that's not why you're leaving. You're leaving because you like somebody better. Because you like Freddie better. But there is this sort of like, I'm gonna do this thing for the less fortunate. And it's just like, ew, whatever. So Benaya and Nicole definitely seem to be feeling each other well. There's a lot of connection. There's a lot of movement in like the emotional compatibility. I'm so sorry. I'm playing with my hair so much, but it won't pick what I want it to pick. It won't stay. There you go. But they end up having a bit of a hiccup because she's like, so where are you, free spirit, hippie, blah, 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 blah. Do you think you're in the place to settle down? Do you think you're in the place to propose? Like, where are you? And he doesn't give the most affirming or the most like reassuring response, which is basically, I really like you. I really think we have a connection. I don't think I'm at the place to propose yet. Which in any other context, like fine, right? Like no one should rush into a marriage, a proposal, or any of those things. But you're on Love is Blind. So why the did you come on the show if you didn't think you'd be ready to propose in 10 days? This is an expedited process, notably. So this is stupid. But anyway, this kind of rattles Nicole where she's like, okay, that's not what I'd love to hear. Because again, we're on Love is Blind. Like, I don't know if you forgot, you signed a whole fucking paper. I'm sure there was like a auditioning process. They got to know you. Bitch, how you get all the way here and not know what the show was? But alas, sorry, I'm screaming. Like you don't have time to think. You're getting married in a month, according to this show. So this kind of discourages Nicole. And now that Jasmine has said no to Sam is like upping the affection. He's giving the gifts. He's kind of love bombing a little bit because he really needs to like hone in on this choice. And so, Benaya being a bit wishy-washy, and this other guy that seems to be very into her, she's like, I guess I'll go with Sam because Benaya's kind of not giving me the reassurance that I need. But again, because like Sam is more so doing this in an effort to, his words, dust himself off from Jasmine rejecting him instead of because of his love for Nicole. You know what I mean? That doesn't seem to be his inclination. His inclination is to get anyone to take him, and whether that be because he's very insecure and just wants someone to love him, which I think is part of it, which isn't a strange thing. Like everyone, somebody to love. I don't need too much, just anyway, it's not strange or unreasonable to want someone to love you. But again, that combined with kind of like the lack of authenticity coming off from him, it's a bad combination in my opinion, personally. Bobby proposes to Jasmine, by the way, via a rap with I really wish people would stop doing anything music related on these shows. No more rapping, no more singing, no more playing guitar out of tune. Just stop it. You don't have to add those things. Those are not what we come on here for. Please stop. But it was cute and corny to her, and she says yes, so they're engaged. Back to Sam. He's like, again, buttering her up really good, saying like it's always been you since day one, which is a lie. If you're following at home, that is a lie. Maury sucked. I was gonna say, according to our lie detector test, the lie detector test determined that is a lie. Maury. You know that lie detector tests aren't that accurate. They're not often admitted into court because of that. So imagine the people with that margin of error who like lost families because of a lie detector test that is only like maybe 78% accurate at best. Like, you know what I mean? Maury, for a lot of reasons. Also, he traumatized a lot of people and he was really transphobic. Anyway, these people. But they're like schmoozing or whatever. And he says something along the lines of like, I can't wait to see you and kiss you and hug you. And I'm going to pick you up when I see you. And she starts to make a joke like, oh, I don't know if you can pick me up. She's not heavy looking at all. She doesn't seem to be plus size at all, but this little joke. But he seems like hyper focused on that. And so he goes back to like the men's quarters and he's like, does that mean that I can't pick her up? Like, how big is she? Sucks donkey. Oh my God. So, at least according to the edit, Benaiah ends up overhearing this less than great moment, and he decides that he's going to go to Nicole and tell her that, you know, I hate to look like I'm sabotaging somebody else. I don't want to come off like that, but I have to tell you because I care about you. This dude is not here for the right reasons, at least according to what he says. He says things that indicates that he's definitely not here for the right reasons. So, episode 3, Maria tells Tom that he is her number one choice, and he has to be honest again and say, I have a connection with you and another girl, and I'm trying to, you know, make sense of that. Fair, that is the process, but it doesn't feel good, I'm sure, to hear that from the person that you're like, you're my number one. But he again has a connection with Maria, really pretty girl, and well, they're all really pretty, but you know what I mean, and Natasha. But as we'll find, one of the kind of frustrating parts for Tom is trying to make sense of like what type of connection he has with Natasha, because there's obviously a connection, there's a closeness there, but he's like, I don't know if it's romantic. I don't know if it's sexual. I don't know if it's like, honestly, it feels a bit platonic to him, but he's still trying to like make sense of that and figure it out. Okay, Bobby and Jasmine meet. They're both very pretty. They both like each other. Great. I like her dress. Okay, the cousins. We haven't seen them in a second. Catherine and Freddie, they keep talking. Again, why the is he so buff? That's me, not her. Why the is he so buff? I'm starting to like him more at this point. He's pretty dopey. He seems very himbo energy. Like, not dumb. He's not dumb, but he gives me like, oh, adorable. I like him so far. Demi opens up about her endometriosis and how that makes her feel really shitty because she may not be able to naturally conceive, and it makes her feel like she's not good enough. He does a really good job of comforting her, in my opinion, and it goes to show that, again, their connection is deeper than whatever he has with Catherine, which again is very like surface level. Back in the women's quarters, Jasmine ends up having a chat with Nicole. Remember, both of them were talking to Sam, but Jasmine is now with Bobby. They've gotten engaged or whatever, but she ends up talking to her and she's like, I don't know, man, that dude has always felt a little bit disingenuous to me. Like you're grown and, you know, I care about you and support you, girlfriends, you know, but Nicole ends up saying something like, oh, he said it was me since day one. And she was like, yeah, he said that to me too on my second date. And she was like, oh my God, really? And I'm like, yes, he just say that. None of this shit is real. None of this shit matters. He just be talking. He just be saying words. I had a moment where I had such a visceral fear that I had forgotten to turn my mic on. I was about to ugly cry. And that combined with the fact that it does seem like Nicole has a more emotional connection with Benaiah. She's like, you know, you'll know what decision to go with, but that's how I feel about Sam personally. Okay, the cousins get engaged. She ugly cries. Nicole choosing between Benaiah and Sam. And you're like, which one is she gonna pick? And lo and behold, she ends up picking dumb. I kind of get why she chose him, because again, she does have a connection with him, and in her interview she's like, he's always been so consistent to me, like I've never seen this person that they're talking about, even though when a bunch of is telling you, like, I'm telling you, he giving me not good, not genuine, not cool but okay. But again, she likes him, and more specifically, Benaiah has given no indication that he's ready yet, even though we will find in this area around this time he ends up saying like, oh, I have decided that I want to do this with you. She's like, well, I'm engaged already, because she accepts his proposal. Well, Sam proposes and she accepts it. Awful. That's terrible. But and you know, during this proposal, one would hope that it would be happier, but it wasn't. It seemed very high strung and anxious, and she's like, I've been hurt before, blah 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 blah, and he's like, I'm not gonna hurt you, but like, I never hurt you, blah blah blah, you're amazing, like I care about you. And then he starts like reading off lines from like Hallmark cards and shit.
Deep down, this is meant to be. I had butterflies from the second I heard your laugh.
But she's like begging, she's like, please tell me that you're not here for any other motive other than to find love and to get married. And he's like, no, there's no other motive, and I'm like, this is not a good sign. This is how you're getting engaged. No, like, oh my God, I love him and I'm so happy and blah, blah, blah. It's just like, don't hurt me, nigga. Which is... Oh Lord. She does end up saying I love you to him, and I don't even remember if he says it back. I do recall him saying like, oh, you don't know, no one's ever loved me and I need someone to love me.
I really love you. I really do.
No one's ever loved me. I need someone to love me more than anything as well, okay? I have to be real with you.
Again, could have got therapy. And I'm so tired of this fucking show and like black women on this show, you know, picking these fucking struggle love projects and shit. Like, this. Hey, shit. Like, every black woman gotta be fucking mommy and therapist and healer and shit. Like, no other race of bitch wanted to talk to this nigga. And the one that even considered it was a mental health professional. And I think she's just primed to give people a little bit more of a chance in that context. But don't nobody else want to talk to that motherfucker because he's annoying. So then she goes to Benaya and she tells him that she's engaged and it's over between them. Womp womp. The cousins meet. She ugly cries again. They seem happy. And the happy vibes don't last long because the episode ends with Tom breaking up with Natasha. Episode 4. They're still breaking up by episode 4. And she's like, oh, that's bad. And then she cries, whatever. Nicole and Sam meet like face to face. And it is immensely awkward and weird and tense and uncomfortable the same way it was when they got engaged. Like, again, if this is how you felt getting engaged, that is not a good sign. And they meet and it's not a good sign. He proposes, he gets on one knee, poses, puts the ring on the wrong finger. He starts saying some weird rom-com shit. I'm just a boy that wants to love a girl. I'm just a boy that wants to love a girl.
I'm just a boy who wants to love a girl. That's all I want. I'm a boy who wants to love a girl and live happily ever after. And if we give this a go, I think we can have that.
Oh, I don't know. It's just so weird, but it's pretty, and then it's pretty obvious that she's not attracted to him. I don't know if it's aesthetically, as in she's not attracted to how he looks, or she's just not attracted to him, like the vibes. He does have a lot of like, I'm in a movie vibes, you know? Like when he's walking off, he like turns around to her and he's like backing up and he's like, Nicole. She's like, huh? She's like, oh yeah, what? He's like, I think I love you. And she basically says, oh, that's nice, and just walked away.
Wait.
What?
I think I love you.
Okay, I'm gonna hold that.
That's kind of funny. I'm sorry. Maria tells Tom that she loves him and he cries, overwhelmed about how vulnerable the situation is. He has a lot of like abandonment issues with his dad. Again, a lot of people seem to have it this season. And he ends up proposing. And again, they seem really happy. I like Tom. He seems like pleasantly regular. Ollie and Demi get engaged. Maria and Tom meet and she looked so gorgeous. The red dress. I wouldn't have worn a red lip. Well, if I did, I wouldn't have worn that type of red lip. Beautiful color, but as you'd imagine, it got all over the place. He looked like Pennywise. A liquid lip in those situations, baby. If you know you're gonna be kissing a lot, you know, you gotta go straight up old school L'Oreal long last, the ones that like suck your life away but really stay on really well. Use a lip balm to re-moisturize. This happened like a year and a half ago, so I know this doesn't benefit you now, but I'm just saying for future reference. They're so cute, and he's also very, very awkward, so they're nice. Okay, Demi and Ollie meet, and you know, everybody's a bit nervous about how they're going to be perceived physically because that's the name of the game in this show. But it does seem that Demi, again, with her insecurities around her body and the shifting of her body because of her hormones and endometriosis and whatnot, she does seem to be maybe a bit more preoccupied than, or at least on camera, a bit more preoccupied with that. And then Ollie is like, she did mention that her friends kind of see her as one of the guys. What if I meet her and I feel the same? But I guess he doesn't feel that way when they meet. They have a lot of like physical chemistry, but he seems to be really into her physically. She do got a fat ass. So like that shit move when she's standing still. Jealous. But that's all the couples. 6 couples. That seems like a lot, yeah? Then at least in the last few seasons of the US version, people were not making it. So the couples are Steven and Sabrina, Jasmine and Bobby, Nicole and Sam, ew, Catherine and Freddie, the cousins, Ollie and Demi, Tom and Maria. So off they go to their honeymoon. They go to Greece. Really beautiful resort. Very, very pretty. And it's time to do, of course, the dramatic first few days after meeting each other in person for the first time. Again, everybody's ripped as shit. It's weird. Why are all the men so ripped? Like, where did you find these? Gonna cut your hands on them. But they all like go to the beach and they're all talking to each other and everybody seems to be having a great time. And everyone seems to be doing pretty well except for Nicole and Sam, who are notably not on the honeymoon because they didn't make it to the flight. They didn't even make it. She said, nah, something off, and she ended it. She was like, I don't know. He put the ring on the wrong finger. I think that was a sign. Whatever you need to get there, baby, because the man sucks. So that's fine. And in his interview, he's like, something just wasn't quite right, as if you were the person. Okay, anyway, but so the episode ends with Nicole saying that she wants to see Benaya and apologize. She's like, it was always Benaya and I just chose somebody else because I felt like we weren't gonna happen that way. I didn't know if he was committed to that idea. Well, baby, then pick nobody. If that's the case, like, girl, don't just go with Sam because he there. You see how that worked out. Anyway, episode 5, and that is them meeting, Nicole and Benaya. They talk things out, talk about where each side of them were coming from. And she apologizes because she's like, I feel like I completely disregarded your warning because I didn't want to hear it. And the way she explains it, she was like, I felt like I was pouring into you so much emotionally, but you weren't necessarily like sold on the idea of marriage, so I had to keep my options open, which makes sense. But I still be alone, baby, if that's the case, between the person you want and some shit guy. Like, you can be alone. That is an option. But I understand when you're on this show for like 48 billion hours, you're like, I'm leaving here with something. Anyway, in the words of Jamie Foxx, who said unhand me?
That was Jamie Foxx doing a Denzel Washington impression.
Were those two separate videos?
That might have been the same interview.
Huh. Back at the honeymoon, everyone seems to be doing very well. Some people have, I was going to do a cute little euphemism, but I just decided to say people been some are, some aren't, whatever. Everyone seems to be getting along pretty well. But because we need some incredibly stupid and contrived drama, Kat gets wind that Ollie had gone back to the men's quarter after they broke up and said that he broke up with her. Why this matters, I don't know. Also, that's not necessarily untrue, technically. Y'all broke up with each other at the same time. Y'all jinxed each other. Like, so why are we, I don't know. And she's like, and it creates this like weird tension where she's like, I don't like the idea that he's been like lying about me. And I don't know if this is the edit or like what's going on, but this just makes no sense. And at least the way it's edited, the first thought I had was like, is she just trying to start some drama just so that in a way or another, she's still tangentially in Ollie's life? Like the door is still open in some way, even if it's through contempt, which is dumb. And I ain't the first dumb bitch has been on this show. So Catherine and Ollie end up talking about that, trying to hash that out, and it's fine. It doesn't seem to be like a particularly flirtatious conversation or like anyone's trying to get something started or anything. And if it was, I would argue Catherine was leaning into that more so than Ollie. Granted, I do get the sense that sometimes people can't see two attractive people talking without assuming they're flirting with each other. My cross to bear. But regardless, Demi does seem to be uncomfortable, jealous, a bit threatened by, the prospect that this is another person that Ollie had a connection with, and now he's seeing her, and maybe, he would find her more attractive, But it's obvious that like Demi seems to be getting in a worsening mood, and Ollie goes up to Bobby and he's like, hey, do you feel a tension going on tonight? It feels like a tension. And he's like, yeah, I do get the sense. I think like Catherine was kind of like, she's like looking at you a lot and like there's a vibe there. You know what I mean? And so Ollie's like, okay, so I'm not crazy because I did feel that. Like, what the was that? And again, it doesn't seem like he's excited, like, oh, maybe, something else can get started. He's just like, interesting. That's just really weird. And meanwhile, Jasmine is over with Demi, and I think Jasmine means well, but I wonder to what degree, because she talked about briefly how she has a history of getting cheated on. I wonder to what degree she's just like projecting onto Demi and her relationship, because she's like, why is he over there talking to Bobby about this? He should be talking to you about this. Like, what is there to hide type energy? And I'm like, he can't talk to the like, what the And like also in combination with Demi, who seems to be like really sulking to herself because she's like, everyone else is all lovey-dovey and Ollie isn't doing that here. Like he's very huggy and kissy when we're alone, but in public he doesn't want to do those things. And I'm sitting here like, did you initiate PDA? Have y'all had a conversation about PDA? Maybe you don't like PDA. Some people don't. And there's nothing deeper than that. But I feel like you could have opened your mouth and said something instead of just sitting there complaining. And now, because at least right now, I don't know if I'm missing something, but y'all got a lot of heat for Ollie at this point, and I'm trying to understand why. Because what did he do? Anyway, a little shot of good news. My computer's about to die. It's at 8%. I think I can make it happen. Here comes Nicole and Benaya on the resort. They're like, oh my God. And they're like, we're engaged. And they're like, ah, you know, and so that's cute. That's happy. Everyone's cheering. And honestly, a lot of them have this vibe of just, they're happy that she got away from Sam. So good on you. So when the night ends, Demi is still kind of sulking about, you know, the anxieties that she has around him not being super affectionate in a group setting. I think she, instead of like actually having a conversation about that, she's just using her, it just gives a lot of like insecurities being what you're using to extrapolate information instead of just talking to him about PDA, for instance. Like, is like, hey, I noticed this. What's going on with that? Which is like, I guess, too therapized. But at least as I'm reading it, it's a very like closed mouths don't get fed type situation. So you could just say like, hey, I want a little bit more PDA in person. But they end up starting to chat that over, and she's talking about like why she didn't feel particularly great while he was talking to Kat. This he did do bad. This was bad. This was stupid, because she was about to start talking about her concerns, and he's like, we could just turn in for the night though. And I'm like, ooh, not cute, not good. Don't do that. You. She's like, y'all were just laughing a lot over there. She was laughing so much. And he's like, I'm funny. Again, two pretty people can't talk and have a conversation without y'all thinking we trying to Maybe some of us are just gorgeous. Also, meanwhile, again, Jasmine, well-meaning, she's talking to Bobby, and she seems to be like hyping herself up more about Ollie disrespecting. That's the word she used, Demi, somehow. I don't know. Like, she found it very disrespectful that instead of talking to Demi about it, I was like, he can't talk to both? You policing who he can talk to about some shit? What? Also, there's being a girl's girl, and then there's being a nigga's business. And she is definitely going into the being a nigga business area at this point, because she's like, maybe I'll talk to Ollie about this foolishness. And I'm like, girl, that's none of your business. Also, what am I missing? Honestly, did I miss something in the first 5 episodes? Why people are so hot about this and all in their business? Because I'm just sitting here like, mind your own business. What the hell? I know you mean well. You seem nice. You seem like a sweet lady. Mind your own damn business. What the hell? But yeah, that's basically the end of the episode. And the end of this video, because the next time we're here, hopefully by the end of this week, we will talk about episodes 6 through 11. I believe will be out by the time you guys see the next video. So if you like to keep up with that, feel free to subscribe, everybody. Hopefully in that video, I'll film it while the sun's up so I won't be orange. If you like this video, feel free to like this video. Follow me on all my social media, Instagram and Twitter, both of which are KennieJD. Subscribe so you can see part 2. Again, click on the playlist if you just want to hear my ramblings about Love is Blind and the Ultimatum universe. I heard there's also a Love is Blind Mexico. If anyone's been watching it, let me know if it's good, because I might watch it. I'll let you know, because if it's messy, I'll watch it. And everybody was telling me to watch this one because it might be kissing cousins. Do they find out if they're really cousins or not? Because so far there's not a whole lot of drama other than bitches in other people's business that they shouldn't be in other people's business. So we'll see what happens next time. Anyway, love you. Bye.